here watching Crawford Porter.
As you guys know, this is my official last fight. And again, I knew that this was it. You know, where I thought that Spence was going to be it. When I finished that fight, honestly, man, like a week after the fight, I was like, it's something else out there for me. And
you want to end with Formella?
No, I didn't even want Formella. That's a whole other story. But when it came to Crawford, I just thought that this is the only other guy out there who's considered to be the best in the world. And, you know, I have the reputation of taking on the best. Yeah. I think this was the only... No. This was the only fight, and this is the first I'm saying this too, that I, for the sake of words, demanded. And I wasn't trying to live up to the persona of someone who wanted to... I had to have this greatness. You know what I mean? I had to be in the ring with this or whatever the case may be. You know, I don't know, man. It's the competitor in me. But
damn, he's got to reach like a mofo on you.
Yeah, 74. Jeez. But in a lot like Errol, I did my thing from a promotional standpoint.
So before we get into this fight, because I think this is the talking point that everyone continues to go back to. So let's just address it before we're gonna watch the fight. The preparation, because now everyone just immediately goes back to Errol fans will be like, well, Shawn Porter's own dad said he didn't even train hard for that fight. So what is the actual narrative of it? Because you've explained it where I think I grasp it. But
and I'll explain it a little bit in detail as I've done with you. And I like to tell people it's going to be in my documentary. I think that there's a lot of things that you'll see in the documentary that you didn't know, that you didn't expect, and that will, again, like with my story, the purpose of my story is to motivate and inspire. You know, you'll see the things that I've gone through, whatever the case may be, and you'll be like, I can do it too, whatever the case may be. With Terrence, I trained the same. There was the same rigorous schedule, the whole 9. My dad had the energy for this fight that he's had before, but my dad has a little bit of a roller coaster ride of emotions through a training camp, as most of us do. Yeah. Or at least he and I. Yeah. And I was kind of straight across the board. I knew what I wanted. I understood my goal, and there wasn't really anything deterring me from what I wanted to do. And my dad he was trying to do extra work. Yeah. And it got to a point where he had only experienced this one other time, and it became a humongous blow up where I was like, that's just not necessary, Dad.
Why do you think, from both perspectives, why do you think your dad felt that way, that he needed the extra work, and why did you feel you did not need the extra work?
I think he thought I needed the extra work because of that experience that he had with him in the back alley. Okay. I think he truly was the big bad wolf to my dad, and I think that my dad was like, I have to have Shawn
completely best he can possibly be, or this is gonna go bad. And you just were thinking, and I think how I've trained before is
that mindset is the energy that he carried through the entire camp, and and me having the opposite and being much more even keel. I'm like, okay, like I understand the objective, but this is too much. Yeah. And it just, again, that was something he hadn't truly experienced with me pushing back, saying, hey, I'm not gonna do that today.
And like, obviously we're not gonna go numbers for numbers, but just to kind of compare the camps. So obviously there was the extra work your dad wanted, but like from a work standpoint.
But to your point, you said we're not gonna go to the numbers. Yeah. But to your point, I went to the numbers. Yeah. I said, Dad, everything is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. My heart rate was what it was supposed to be. I'm up running in the mountain doing the swim workouts, the whole 9. He was expecting me to do like 1 or 2 more swim workouts than I usually do. Yeah. He was expecting me to spend another week up in Mount Charleston, which I never do. Yeah. I went to Wade. I said, Wade, can you tell him I don't want to come back up here?
Wade, haven't tell him that.
Wade said it don't make sense. Yeah. Wade said you're where you need to be. Another week up here is not necessary. Yeah. I'll tell him. And so the work was put in. Yeah. But from his perspective, where I'm pushing back, saying, hey, let's slow it down.
Was part of it not to dissect that too much, but were you thinking like the extra work was going to be a negative, or were you just like,
I thought the extra
dug your feet in and were like, I'm not budging off this?
And that's a whole nother thing, but I think let's go back to my Formella fight. Yeah. I trained a little harder for that fight than I needed to. training.
Okay.
And I think that it was debris from that mentally and emotionally for me that carried over into the Terence Crawford fight.
Damn,
camp.
Sebastian Formality. I knew that guy was going to play an integral role here. Imagine if you did retire after that fight, though. That would be love to him. I hope he's doing well, but that would be like the most. After you were known as like the dude that fought everybody, Terence said you got the better resume.
True story.
If you walked away after that, I would have been like, nah, man.
True story, and we'll move forward. So I go during the pandemic. I go and get my hip checked out.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't sleep at night. It's terrible. The first doctor that comes in, he says, "What are you doing?" I said, told him what he said. What do you do for a living? I went all through that. He says, "You been in a car accident?" That's how bad my hip was.
Yeah.
So I recorded the conversation, took it back to my dad, and let my dad just listen to the conversation. I sat there patiently waiting. The conversation ends, and my dad says, verbatim, "Well, you had a good career." And then he says, "Well, let's be honest. I mean, how many more fights do you want to have?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dad, I thought Errol Spence was going to be it."
Yeah.
I said, "I really want Crawford." So we talked about some of these things, but I think what's realistic and what you expect, sometimes your expectation doesn't meet realism, and it's kind of a hard thing. But that is funny because even at that point, before Formella, we were looking at it like, should we even have this fight? But we made it through.
So here we go. Crawford Porter, Mandalay Bay.
So I had seen Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Tommy the Hitman Hearns in my mind about this fight so many times. And I said, I'm doing it. And the first thing I did in the first round of this fight, just like Marvelous Marvin Hagler, I came out through a big left hook. It didn't land. And I just, from that point, it was like, we're fighting. Yeah. But I didn't really have a mentality like that of Marvelous where it was war in my mind, It was just back to the X's and O's.
That makes for a grand opportunity for Shawn Porter if he's too economical.
And did you have any, kind of like we did with the Errol fight, did you have any immediate reactions? You've never been in the ring with Bud before.
No. No immediate reactions with Bud.
And what was the strategy going into this one?
just like Errol. Box to set up the power. We were regimented like that. That was how we did things.
You're showing some thigh in this fight.
But just and just like Errol, knowing everything that Terence had done, none of that's playing in my mind. Yeah. This is me, and this is me doing what I got to do.
Got my man Celestino Ruiz in the ring.
Yeah. I never heard this commentary, so I have no clue.
Much rather never hear this commentary.
Took a hook right there from Terence.
Was a Shawn Porter round, though.
Is it?
I think so. Thought you were going to Broner you there for a second.
Coming behind the chair, staying disciplined, keeping his balance, not lunging forward, edging closer and closer to Crawford.
Just trying to counter his punch, and he's fast.
Yeah, and how much did you expect the switching? Obviously, he hasn't switched yet.
We expected exactly what he did. I think he came out in the second, if not the third round southpaw, and stayed, and that was exactly what we were expecting.
Do you think why does he fight orthodox? What was the point? Is it just...
Funny question.
Yeah.
Funny question. Because you're right, it doesn't make sense. That move right there, I don't remember him doing that, but that's something you don't see him do often. He squared up, looked like he was going to go southpaw, but then went back orthodox. That's a big question about the fight where Errol, is he going to switch more against Errol?
Yeah. And how difficult is that to prepare for?
It's not. It's not, because we see orthodox all the time. We're bringing specific southpaw sparring, and that was what we did, because we knew that once he switches, he'll stay there.
I'm gonna give you the round, but it was close.
Let me get that. That was a close round.
Yeah. He switched there for a second. I'm not sure if he stayed switched or not. Yeah, so he switched there.
But he came out orthodox.
Yeah, I just don't know why he does it. He's a much smarter boxing mind than myself, so I'm sure there's a rhyme or a reason to it.
Well, I tell you what, I'm telling on him right now, but that jab ain't sharp right there from the southpaw.
But you can see the patience also from Porter. He's just not rushing in there. He's thinking before he makes any move. Well, he has to.
So, one thing you can do with Terence is crack the code. What is he doing when he's orthodox? What is he doing when he's southpaw?
Yeah.
And, not that I didn't study him, but I'm seeing something right now against me that I hadn't seen against anyone else. He's waiting on a counter when he turns southpaw. And it looks like orthodox, he's okay being first. But you can see nothing but a posture of counterpunching from the southpaw. At least in this round, in this moment, in this, the last minute.
It's kind of a boring round, to be honest.
I remember Pippa booed in this round.
I might have. There you go, nice right hand.
Yeah. That's one of those moments people like, if you had win that arrow the way you win at Terence, or win at Terence how you win that arrow.
Yeah.
Right there was one of those moments where I would have kept going.
Yeah.
Why I think just trying to be smart.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in some
was
point
it learning from the arrow fight where you got caught?
Possibly that too, because I definitely learned from Key.
Yeah.
And I think that I like to say that I learned from Arrow, but I think right there I might have even just outthought myself.
Yeah.
Another hook right there.
I think I got you this round too, to be honest.
Absolutely you got me this round.
I was he's trying to get back into it though. Did you ever see yourself fighting blood at all? Like you've known each other for
not until
forever.
you fought Jose Benavidez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not until he fought Jose Benavidez. He moved, and when he was talking, I talked to him before he moved up, and I said, "Man, don't come up here." He said, "No, I got some work to do up there." I said, "Man, I ain't trying to fight you." He said, "No, I ain't trying to fight you." I said, "Well, who you want?" He said, "You know who I want."
Good shot at the end of the round by Bud, but I still give it to you.
That's I mean, I'm 2 rounds in, and I'm like, yeah. I see what everybody's saying when they like, if you had won that arrow, if you had won that Terence, I won that arrow.
It would have been interesting to see how he reacted.
Yeah,
because nobody really.
Yeah,
gone
I think
to
you
him.
had, from that standpoint, you have a better gauge of how this fight is gonna play out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, promoting the Hawkeye.
Yeah. Mandalay Bay is a decent venue. Not great, but decent.
It was decent.
Yeah.
You wonder what's slowing down Shawn Porter is the southpaw stance of Crawford. When he was in orthodox stance, Porter was able to land his jab and get inside. Now from the southpaw stance,
You think that was? I hate to agree with Tim Bradley, but you think that was also based on what you mentioned about him wanting to counter?
Yeah,
Southpaw more,
yeah,
so you weren't going to be as aggressive.
Yeah, and I knew that. Like I knew that. I
Yeah.
knew southpaws, tall southpaws who counterpunch gave me trouble, and then also knowing that was his rhythm. His rhythm was that right there.
Yeah.
Throw one, and then I'm gonna counter that.
well, attempted right there in the uppercut as Porter lunged forward.
But you see me, I'm much more tactical. And that's kind of what that southpaw stance will do. It will force you to be a little smarter, and especially again, you in the ring with somebody who can counter like that and is really really quick like that.
Is that what stands out to you in the ring with him? Was the speed?
Honestly, the thing that stood out most about me with Terence was I could not read what he was thinking, and that was tough for me. That was the punch right there. That was the punch right there.
saying, you want some of that? You want that kind of exchange? Yeah, he likes it. It's over now. Bud is here. A fight.
Okay.
He is a dog, though.
No, like Tim Bradley. Come on, man.
Yeah. But I should have just kept giving him more.
Yeah.
Kept giving him more.
On that last exchange, when both men came in. Remember Southpaw and Orthodox.
We had to have her early in the fight, too.
I'm not sure how I have this round. Probably you. I have you up 3-0?
Absolutely, you had me up 3-0.
I'm thinking so.
I'm that good. I was that good.
I was
I'm
gonna say,
retired.
he's retired. He ain't coming back. Yeah, I'm a 3-0. I'm not sure. And what was funny about this fight, like I was sitting next to my cousin, your best friend there, and I just was like, because I was at a level where I could see the ring, but also
He said, hold up though, because he said that moment right there was when he felt like I got him.
Yeah.
He grabbed me up and he picked me up and put me up against the ropes right there. And the funny, because we talked about that and we had like similar thoughts. His thought was, oh shit, like I got him because I picked him up and he ain't as strong as
and he barely
people
even
say.
picked you up.
And then my thought was, the other side of that was, my thought was, oh shit, he just picked me up. Like this right here, my thought was, I was like, oh
that
shit.
part. I thought you were going to the other one.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, he picked me up.
And that son of a gun likes to wrestle.
Yeah.
But I was watching it, and Darren and I
And
are
you
sitting there.
said
You said I'm too small?
Yeah.
Damn, that's ruthless.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm not sure why he came out doing that with his hands. But I hate this commentary.
I hit him with the Cuba.
Classic. Shout out to Andy Cruz.
Fast.
Jeez. God dang, that's
Yeah,
pretty harsh.
They went at
That
me
was
right there,
pretty
didn't they?
harsh. He said like railroad tracks with the scar tissue. That's a cold world,
Right
man.
there, he just stuck in the body shot. But look at it, you know? When he says that he's seen it all, to look at me like this, knowing everything that I'm capable of, and he's just looking at it like, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. You know, that again is like it's a testament to who he is as a fighter and as an athlete. And all the while, I just want to point and I want to win.
And how do you feel in
I want
this?
to be smart.
Like, how do you feel at this point in this fight?
At this point, it's just we're by the book. At this point, how can I get at you? You know, wait on those perfect moments. Not too soon, not too late. You know. Didn't want to force anything. You know.
And is that
right there? I got him bouncing, and I was like, I got you.
Is that a power respect thing where you say you don't want to force it because you know that he's explosive in that sense?
Again, you know, me knowing who I am against, southpaws who counter very good.
Yeah.
I know that I get overzealous,
Yeah.
and that plays into the rhythm of your fight,
For
you
sure.
know. And so it was really just a matter of not really respecting his power, but just respecting what
Knowing
could happen.
your
you know?
potential deficiency.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I've been up against it enough my entire life to know what works against me and what doesn't. You know. From that standpoint, I don't think I thought myself out of this fight, but from the on the other side of it, I do think that I overthought some of this.
Yeah. This is my first bud round of the fight. You can't do the Cuba point thing after you fall into the corner.
Couldn't and Bradley was calling for it, but it just he wasn't
giving the
yeah. And then even right there, it was like go, but I know with him it's one step back and I'm releasing.
Yeah.
That's just it's bad. It's all bad.
So I have it 3-1 after 4.
I actually gave myself that round.
Did you? I'm not shocked by that.
So I'm circling to my right which is something you say you don't do against a southpaw because you move into their power hand.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was just a matter of trying to do something different to get him to do something different.
Yeah.
You know? And you can even tell, like, even with that, like, me circling to my right, I'm still doing it, but it ain't this like it was early when I first started the round.
Yeah.
Didn't see anything.
How did you feel like, I know we talked about the camps and everything being similar, so Dre and I had it the same, but did you feel like physically about the same, or did you feel worse at this point against Bud than you did against Errol? Like physical, whether it was going into the fight or like at this point, like are your legs starting to feel it a little bit?
I don't remember what point in this fight exactly. It might have been a round or two beyond the fifth where I remember like having some like I was breathing kind of hard and was like damn, I'm
That's
not
kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to, you know. But I think again another thing, you know, talking about how crazy I was to fight the way that I fought, just all the way down. Where Errol was like with this fight, just more conscious.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, look at it. We talk about being intelligent as fighters, but sometimes being too conscious could play against you.
Bit.
You know, yeah.
It's actually I think we talked about it at some point, and I actually think we talked about maybe recapping the fight. It's kind of, to me, it's just kind of like an okay fight. Like I remember at the time, like the Errol fight, even though I'm usually, and I still was like pretty level. Like it was like, damn, this is action. And I feel like this fight, I was kind of like, yeah, it's a good fight. Like, but I don't think it was like fight of the year. Like I didn't kind of walk away with it with that feeling.
Yeah.
Which at least the fans are starting to warm up a little bit.
Look at it. Covered up. Then he started pushing me back. And it was like, you know, again, things that I'm not used to having happened to me before. It plays on you mentally. And it's like, okay, I'm not getting anything clean. And then he ain't giving nothing for me to get.
Off of.
And yet, you know. So definitely this fight was much more
chess
from
match.
from a mental standpoint was much more difficult for me.
And I'm just keep going back to, I don't know why he starts orthodox. It just doesn't make sense. Like I'd probably give him this round, but this round was kind of eh. Like I could see how somebody could maybe give it to you. Never mind. Yeah, that's a Bud round, but kind of underwhelming a little bit. Notice with Errol and then in this fight, like
well, I got 4-1.
You got 4-1. I got it at 3-2. But do you notice like adjustments that Bud's making in the ring?
In the moment, no.
Yeah.
In the moment, no. I mean, I see him now right here, especially right here early in this sixth round. He came out throwing combinations. You know, he came out legs wide, and I'm not taking no steps back.
Ready to throw.
And yeah, just ready to throw. You know, so that's a big adjustment.
That's what your dad saw in the back alley. The legs wide and ready. Me or you.
This fight was a roller coaster ride for me emotionally. Yeah. Not as much mentally, but certainly emotionally. And I mean that like from a standpoint of just the intensity of the fight, and then there were moments where it was more intense, less intense. Can't find it. That was it. It was a lot. For this one, was a lot. I've had what reporters would always ask after my fights, specifically Key, Kale, and Errol. They would always ask, what would you have done different? Kell Brook was a no-brainer for me. Keith, it was kind of like what else could I have done? Yeah. And I kind of felt the same way about Errol, but I thought I could have gone to the body more. Obviously, we see now I could have been more crisp. Mm-hmm. With this one, man, it's a no-brainer to me. After 2 rounds, it was like
more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot of body punching from really either of you. Too much in this. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So each man has been cut from an accidental clash.
I like Celestino in the ring.
Yeah, he can control the ring.
Yeah.
Control the fight. And I always tell people, like, it's what everybody say. And I know I've said it now. I think this is 4, if not 5 times. If you would have done what you did against Errol,
Yeah.
but he's longer, his style is different.
Yeah.
He's going to take steps back and then punch, where Errol is just going to stay there and weather it all, you know. And so it was just like, as much as I'm saying, yo, you should have been more aggressive. I can see right here if I had been more aggressive.
You might have put your lights out. Like, that is give and take for sure.
Yeah. But again, I mean, look at my feet. Not shifty.
Yeah.
Not shifting, you know.
Back of the trunk street war. On a night, he honors marvelous Scarlet Hamler.
Another bug round.
That was a bar? That was a bar. I can't follow that. I got 4-2.
So I got 3-3.
7th round here.
And I have it 3-3.
I got 4-2.
I don't know what the numbers were for the Errol fight, but those numbers are lower in this one. I'm confident of that.
Yeah. Mine are higher.
Position defensively. Round 7. It's the patience, the athleticism, and sharpness of Porter that's giving problems to Bud. In that last round, Crawford had a 16-10 connect advantage, landed 13 power punches.
One thing I was telling somebody is, growing up, my dad always taught us the way you beat a counter puncher is by punching in combinations. You give them 1 punch, they can counter that. You give them 2, they can defend, counter that. But you give them 3 and 4 over and over, it's hard for a counter puncher to exist in the ring with, you know, someone punching in combination. But what I learned also is you counter the counter.
Mm-hmm.
But you see as the weight gain is just tough. Trying to outthink somebody who knows what they want to do, and you trying to feint a punch out of them and they won't do none of it. It was definitely a tough fight from that standpoint.
His jab is pretty underwhelming. The southpaw.
Mm-hmm. I told you.
Yeah. Like, it just seems like he's just kind of rangefinder a little bit, and like he kind of flicks it out there, but
yeah. And that's why I said, like, I was watching Tank and watching Tank and Ryan. I was like, I see how he beats everybody. And it's like, I can't say how he does that because I don't want to be the one. If a coach can't figure it out and a fighter can't figure it out, I want to be the one that says, you know, hey, this is what this guy does and this is how he's beating everybody. You
Bud spiked me by throwing a good jab there a couple times.
But, you know, with Bud, but it's clear as night. It's clear as day. You know, that jab is a little different from the southpaw.
It'll be interesting to see if maybe he wants to use that more against Errol. Not that we need to preview that fight, but the more jab from the orthodox, I should say.
But the difference is Shawn Porter has had to fail. He's not going anywhere. But for what it's worth, my fellas, it looked like Crawford, based on their face, their body language, their energy, or lack of energy, looked like he struggled more with the weight than Shawn Porter. It's so.
How was your weight cut for this fight now that the commentary mentioned it?
It was typical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was typical.
146.6, that's a good number.
Is that where it was?
That's
How do you know
this? It said on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, trust me, I did not remember that at the time.
Yeah, I'm not sitting next to Zittel right now.
I don't know. I don't know about this one. Maybe Bud? I don't know.
Yeah,
that was
I actually get out the Bud.
Yeah, we'll go Bud then.
I got 4-3.
I don't remember what the general reaction to this fight was, to be honest. Like, I don't remember if people were like, damn, that was a great fight, or if they were like, it was a good fight, great. Like, because I think the finish of it, which we'll obviously get to, I think that's what kind of people centered on, but nobody really talked about the fight itself.
Mm-hmm.
God dang.
Yeah, buddy. 2 of them right there.
Mm-hmm. You guys were just holding each other's arms and just throwing the arms at him. He said, oh, you don't think my jab's good? Well, hold on to my arms so I can't throw it.
Right there, you see me just get off line. Like, after him throwing, me looking at him, I was like, all right, get off line. And that's when I tried to take some angles to the left right there. But again, like he takes a lot away from you.
Yeah.
Max Kellerman said he would flip the second round to Crawford, but it's that kind of fight. Good people don't understand what a
What Bud's doing it there, kind of weird.
could go either way. That happens often at this level trade, right? At this elite level.
Yeah, and they're mentioning that, but you've pointed out before, like, when it's elite fighter versus elite fighter, sometimes these things happen. Like, it's a close fight and, like, it's tough to score.
Yeah.
And that usually, obviously, there's rare examples of it, but, like, somebody usually doesn't get their doors blown off in a fight like this. Like, it's going to be tight. It's going to be competitive.
And I think that's why people love Errol so much. He has the ability to be in the ring with a fighter who is considered to be on his level, and then at some point it's like he just 100-meter dash, and 60 meters in, he just starts to pull away. It's like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, nothing. That guy's just faster.
Terrence has to watch that body language because inside he'll turn, he'll do certain things that looks like Shawn Porter is in control and he's
Your right hand. Okay. Good punch inside there.
More tenacity is like needed in this fight. You know,
Is that kind of what you keep going back to?
Absolutely, I'm looking at it right now. You know what I mean? Like, what is what it is? Where Errol was go, and it's like, where is that?
each man having success. Porter with a couple of right hands. Crawford comes back with a left to the body as he has done a few times. Goes with that again.
Porter around.
And that left hook, that left stick that he's. I mean, that was probably the most consistent thing he did in the fight. You know, like again, you know, we talk about if conditioning was an issue or something like that. That clean shot, with whatever power he got or whatever the case may be, was enough to pull things out of me. You know.
And now the call to order changes of raise your level of intensity. Here we go, round 9. That's been missing from Crawford, the jab. He hasn't been on his jab. He's only landed 21% to this point.
Nobody's definitive with the chance in the crowd, so it's like a Porter offer.
You ever joined in the chant when I'm fighting?
No. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Just to feel a part of the crowd. I've started a couple boos, not at your fights, but I've started a couple boos in general. You feel like you got the world in your hands when you start a boo and people respond to
I'm
it.
surprised you never booed
At your fight?
Yeah.
Well, usually I would boo for inactivity. Whether it was clean action or not. Your fights were usually action. I feel like if I booed in this fight, I was sitting next to Pastor Randall Cunningham. I don't think he would have taken too kindly to that. Yeah, this is another. Yeah, it was interesting in retrospect watching this.
First time watching it?
I mean, I was there, but first time rewatch. I've never rewatched.
That's what I'm saying.
Fights.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, yeah, this fight was like. I obviously mentally I know the end, so like you kind of have that in your head, but like the action, I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, like. Especially coming off having previously watched a completely different day. Yeah. Not today, the Errol Spence fight with you.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Like that one, it's like, damn, this is action. Like, all action. And this one's just kind of like, yeah, it's a good fight.
Yeah.
Not a bad fight. Like, how do you lean in this round? Like, I maybe lean Bud.
But I'm looking at myself. There's no feints.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just bounce. Waiting. The bounce ain't there. I don't know if the bounce was really necessary for him at this point.
Yeah, lean Bud in this round, but it's another close one. And it's after this round where there's the stupid viral moment of them telling him that they had you up.
Yeah.
Which I don't know who said that. If it's the commentary, I do have somewhat of an issue with it personally, but
that's what I was told.
A discussion for another day.
That somebody in the commentary told me.
And the fact that Not that I have an issue with that. Somebody said it. Like, say whatever
Look
you
at
want.
that. I mean, I've never had a fighter. I moved quick to the left, quick to the right, then back
Yes, I
left.
see you over there.
And he was just like,
yeah.
just still doing his thing. I've never been in a fight with someone who did not shift because I was shifting.
Yeah.
You know?
I think what I was with the issue with the commentary thing is that people post, oh man, Terence Crawford's so locked in. He wasn't even listening to his corner. What do you mean he's so locked in? He's listening to somebody else talking about it. So it's like, oh, Errol Spence had this lapse where his mouthpiece falls out. Like, but man, he doesn't have moments like that. I'm like, he's in the corner and he's not listening to his coach. What do you mean? I give that round to Terence, I think. Yeah, no, that's Terence. Not by much though.
I got 6'9".
Spoiler. I'm giving the next round
6'3".
to Bud.
Excuse me, 6'3". Cause I just had a 5'3", right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 6'3". He said how? He said how? So here I'm gonna narrate this real quick. I'm gonna pause and narrate this real quick. I said this was something that never happens. It was just a special moment, and it's great for his story because they caught that moment in the corner.
Yeah.
It was perfect timing.
Of course.
Because after that moment, I ended up having a moment.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I told you 3 or 4 rounds ago. This was from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
It was just one of these fights where it was like I was never able to find what I wanted, never got into a groove, never got comfortable.
Yeah.
And through all that, in this round, he find that before that he has his moment. They captured that.
More power to him.
Because that's something that never happens.
Of course.
And then the next moment is a moment that could not have been missed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great story for him.
Yeah.
But people, like you said, it
feeds
the timing
into
of
the
it.
Crawford fans and,
The timing of it is just, it's special. It is what it is.
See, I'm curious to see this first knockdown, I think. Because what I actually thought happened, I thought you twisted your knee.
I'm gonna rewind this real quick because I threw this overhand right and it wasn't the punch that I wanted to throw.
You're struggling to rewind.
No, I'm good. I threw this overhand right and I'm box, and then it was like I just tried to explode out of nowhere with the overhand right. It was like in the moment I knew I wasn't supposed to do it, and then he caught me.
Yeah, I don't know why the angle where I was like, damn, he twisted his knee. That's not ideal.
Yeah. So that first knockdown was I was in the process of thinking.
Yeah.
You
feel okay, right? Your legs are good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But now I'm a little bothered.
Yeah.
I'm a little
anxious.
Not this. This wasn't the same kind of knockdown with Errol.
Yeah.
Where
you thought, damn, this is it.
Yeah. And it was like I'm a little uneasy now. Crowd loud and just now I gotta find myself. And I was already struggling the entire fight to find myself anyway. And so it was like, now I'm trying to force it. Just messy.
Maybe got an extra shot while you got a hand down, but I guess that's fine.
Just messy.
And obviously,
look, I'm in Celestino and Celestino's face like I'm about to fight him.
Yeah.
But at this point, like I'm back.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how are you physically?
I'm back. I'm like now I'm who I need to be. Yeah. Cause I got fired up,
And how so second knockdown, what causes the reaction of hitting the mat?
Because
damn it, like what am I doing?
Instead of getting space and just getting back to boxing and being smart, I started rushing it, trying to just fight and just go, and I just was out of control, and that's what caused the second knockdown.
Yeah.
And now I'm mad.
And when do you first realize that your dad stops it? Is it right there?
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I'm looked at my dad and he said it's over, and then I just walked off.
Yeah.
I just walked off because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
About the moment, confused at what was truly happening right there in that moment where my dad's on the canvas and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of was like what you doing up here, Yeah. He came over. I said, yo, I need a minute. So don't talk to me.
You remember what he said at all?
Yeah. He said, man, I told you I ain't really want to fight you, man. This ain't even with the fight. This wasn't the fight I wanted, man.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to.
I told him I need a moment.
Yeah.
And he didn't
walk away.
Yeah. And then I told him again right there. I said, I just need a moment, But again, when we go back to the moment that happens in the 11th, now I'm cool now after this, But when we go back to that moment in the 11th with Errol, I think it's that flash again of this is gonna get real bad, you know. And so, for a lot of people, they didn't understand why my dad did it and all that, but I guess it's just one of those things where you got to be in his mind, you got to be in the space that he was in, or be in a space that he had been in to truly understand it.
And what's funny about it is, and this is just literally personally from me, I actually was glad your dad stopped it.
Uh-huh.
Which obviously, as you know, I've wanted you to retire for years, so that was already part of the equation.
Yeah.
But I wasn't mad at all that your dad stopped him. Shawn's never been down 2 times in a round. You hit the mat, so I'm like, that's out of character. So I'm like, your dad I recognize that. Clearly your dad recognizes that. Yeah. But it was just the comments afterwards. That was the only issue I had. And if he doesn't make the comments afterwards, which I'm not here to harp on your dad, that's not even a narrative.
No.
If he just is like, hey, my son was hurt, I thought stop it. Everyone's like, okay, maybe premature. We were like Shawn Porter, he's a warrior, whatever. But nobody's going back to that. They just think, hey, stopped it. Maybe it was early, maybe not. That's fine. But then the fact that immediately goes to, you didn't prepare like we wanted, and that immediately, the second he said it, everyone's like,
oh, that's what it was.
And everyone goes back to it. And then you'll have people on both sides of it on social media. Oh, Terence Crawford, he stopped Shawn Porter. Harold didn't. No, who stopped Shawn Porter? Kevin Porter. He stopped. And it's so that if you take that comment out, it's all good. But it was just that kind of added gasoline to it.
It sucks going to cities that I haven't been to since this fight.
Yeah.
Like in Dallas, you go down there. I haven't really been down there since then, and it's people are really just still talking about it and all this and that. But I like to say that one thing, if not the number one thing, that fighters don't want to happen is none of them want to be exposed. Yeah. No fighter wants people to see their weakness. Yeah. And I think that if anything, my dad stopping this fight never truly allowed anyone to see me in a vulnerable
laid
state.
Out. Right?
Yeah.
God love Manny Pacquiao. That image of him flattened as everyone straight to it.
Yeah, and so, even from that standpoint, like you said, hey, fight was over. I was happy about it. I just wanted you to move on. Yeah. For me, too, it was like, hey, I truly don't know how worse this could have got.
How quick after did you, give yourself even a chance to, not evaluate, but, I guess evaluate the stoppage? When were you afterwards,
easy.
I was cool with it? Or you were
yeah.
I was immediately, man, why'd you stop it? Or you just couldn't even process it?
Never analyzed it. Yeah. Until maybe, I won't even say maybe. I never analyzed it until when Tank just fought in Baltimore, probably a month before we went down to Baltimore. Yeah. And then really got into it when me and Barry were talking about it. Yeah. And we analyzed all of it together. Yeah. And it was hey.
So you didn't. So until then, not that you didn't.
I was just no. I'm moving on. Okay. Yeah, I'm moving on.
I don't even need to think about it.
Yeah, I don't even need to think about it. I had people ask me, "Have you watched the fight?" I was like, "For what? I don't need to get better at anything. I'm done."
Yeah, you're good. So I would have had it if the round, if it had gone to 11, I would have had it 96-92. But close fight, so I would have had it 6-4.
Yeah.
And obviously the points from the knockdowns. But
I had it going into that round. I had it 5-3 going into that round.
Yeah, like
or
close,
no, I had it 5-3. I had 6-3 going into
close
that
fight.
round.
Like you could look at it either way, but yeah, very different fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have a pretty similar takeaway from your perspective is that like they're just, and I don't know if it was physical. You keep explaining mentally, like that extra gear just wasn't there to go.
For me, like it's a catch-22 because I'm looking at myself and I know my energy at certain points in the fight, and I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And then the catch-22 side of it is the style.
Yeah.
What I would have been going into.
Right.
You know what I mean? You talk about Shawn always like he went right into the fire.
Yeah.
Nobody was really had fire for me.
Yeah.
He had fire,
Yeah.
you know. So it was like, you know, and again, I felt like maybe I respected a little bit too much. I might have outthought myself in a little bit in it, but I think when you fast forward and you talk about Errol and Terrence, the number one thing you should see with both fights is you should see the mentality of both these fighters throughout the entire fight of my fight. You should see that their mentality is win, seek and destroy, beat, punish, you know, all of those things, which is why this is an amazing fight.
And even watching these fights, and obviously we'll, on the podcast, we'll preview the fight itself, but looking at these two fights against you, which obviously Terrence doesn't fight like you, and Errol doesn't fight like you, so that can't really compare that, but it shows one of my biggest things with this fight is Errol is like steady Eddie. Like, he doesn't have really high rounds a lot of times. He never has low rounds. Mm-hmm. Where Bud has rounds where you're like, really didn't do a lot that round, but then he has these moments where it's like, whoa. Yeah. So that's why I think is the biggest thing for me is one, Bud can kind of be up and down where Errol is just like a metronome.
Man, listen, man, we talk about dance partners in the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
I think that for a number of reasons, and not even the fact that they're both undefeated, not even the fact that they're multi-champions and all that kind of stuff, but they're perfect dance partners because their styles clash perfectly. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the T. Yeah. The mentality that both of them have, to the T. Yeah. Skills, speed. I mean, perfect dance partners. So I think at the end of the day, man, I'm always grateful that I'm able to do the things I did with these guys. Look forward to the fight.
Order the pay-per-view.
We gotta order the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Showtime, go to it now. Order the pay-per-view. But beyond that, man, my first time analyzing Terence Crawford, my fight against Terence Crawford, I thought I saw a lot of holes and things that I could have done better. But then I do consider who I'm in the ring with, and I understand my mentality in certain moments. But make no mistake about it, man. Being able to watch that live in person for myself for the first time, I'm like, I still see a lot of wow about me, but I see wow about Terence too. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's gonna be a great fight. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you, sir, for joining in this. What are we calling this?
I don't know. The PorterWay Watchback. Yeah, watch along. I don't know. Something like that.
The PorterWay Watchback. Yes, sir. This is the PorterWay.